Hey everybody, Radioactive here for another video. Today, something super special. Today, I am finally releasing my first blaster. Calling this the Radson XL. So, some history on this blaster before we get into what it is, what it does. The Radson has been a work in progress for a few months now. It is based off of the Samson, the standard Samson. See, it's a little bit smaller. Plunger tube's a little bit smaller on this one, less powerful. And this is my variant of the upgraded variant of this, which is the Samson XL. So what is the difference between the Samson XL, which I don't have, and the Radson XL? So this blaster, hold on, let's do it this way. This blaster has already been heavily modified by me. So it's not completely the way the Samson originally is. Originally, the Samson does not have this little tab piece here. It's originally just a straight across. This tab piece was an improvement made by Builder BB. This little knurled hammer here is also something designed by Builder BB. It's an improvement. If I remember correctly, this grip was also designed by him, or maybe it was modified or something. And so this little greeble is also designed or modified by him. I believe that's all that he's done. I could be completely wrong there, and I could be completely just throwing him under the bus. This blaster used to have screws going into the plunger head and screws going into here. I've modified that. The Samson XL doesn't have that tab, is about this size, doesn't quite have as much volume because I've extended the draw a little bit, and it has pins for more reliability, durability. It doesn't move as much. The Radson XL, this blaster hits about 65 FPS. The Radson XL hits about 75 FPS with MXL darts. These darts are about 6.25 grams. Pretty heavy, pretty big, so 75 is quite impressive. And that's just in the base configuration. So there's going to be multiple configurations here. The base configuration is going to be about 75 FPS. It is a 2.75 inch spring, K25, which is about 14.36 kilograms. This is to make it so it is the best combination of being able to be primed and power. The barrel has been heavily modified as well. The internal dimensions have been modified so that any diameter of MXL, because they're super unreliable and inconsistent, will perform about the same. I'm looking at less than 1.5 standard deviation. So any shot, the maximum difference the average difference from average. I don't know how standard deviation works, apparently. So yeah, it's a pretty good performance. There are going to be other configurations and custom configurations available. If this blaster hits too hard for your cap, which it can. I know that Survival Fest does 70 FPS average cap for MXL, so I can 100% reduce the performance on this to meet that cap. I've also been able to hit up to 90 FPS with a slightly longer spring, way more pre-compression, a different design of plunger head and a plunger arm. The plunger arm is my design. So that is something I can do. Excuse me. So that's performance for MXL. Now, something the original Samson and the standard Samson XL does not have are other ammo variants. So this variant can shoot 3 mega darts at the same time. Now, that hits around 60, 63. I think 63 is the most I've been able to reliably chronograph, because shotgun isn't very reliable to chronograph. So the standard configuration will be about 60 FPS for 3 mega darts. I was originally going to do 4 mega. That only did around 50 FPS no matter what I tried, so we're going with 3 for that extra performance, that extra range. It's about 10 feet more of range. Now, the 4-shot may be still available, but you got to know what to ask for. The 4-shot mega dart cylinder or barrel. So used to saying cylinders. Now, each blaster does come with the standard radioactive grip greeble. Now, that is, I can change that for you. It's going to be an upcharge of about $5. And I'm not a great designer. I know, I keep telling y'all that. I keep telling y'all I'm not a great designer. Apparently y'all don't believe me. So if I can't easily change it over, I'm not going to do it. Yeah, this blaster performs super well. We have another variant. Let's move these out of the way. We have this blaster. So this one shoots, hold on, let me get them in here. Shoots, hold on, still, 2 more. Okay. You can see on the barrel it shoots 6x3 half dart. Now, what does that mean? What that means is it fires 6 darts 3 times with inline clip technology. So if you were to load it up completely, you'd fire it, 6 darts would come out. Prime it, flick it down, fire it, and 6 darts come out. Prime it, flick it down, fire it, and 6 darts come out. Now, the performance on each row of shots does vary a little bit. We have about... See, it's difficult to tell because it's so many darts in a shotgun. But I believe it is around 60 FPS, maybe a little bit higher, 65. About 70 FPS average. And then around 75 to 80 FPS for the final set of 6. So that's fairly good. Excuse me. So the original designer of the Samson and the Samson XL is Ruppernutter. I believe their actual name is Stephen Rupp. Ruppernutter is typically what they go by, or Rupper. That's what they go by. I think Ruppernutter is their name on Printables or Thingiverse or whatever it is. I don't think the standard Samson XL has released yet, but the standard Samson has. The original Samson, this blaster, released exactly 1 year ago today. So that's why I went ahead with today for my release. May 21st, for those of y'all watching in the future. Or perhaps the past. So let's get into a little bit more technical. This plunger tube is 53.975 millimeter inner diameter. Now, the original Samson had 47.625 millimeter inner diameter. So that's a little bit more than 6 millimeter difference, which is huge in context of air volume. The original Samson also had about 34 millimeters of draw. Now, that was improved a little bit to like 37 with my pin modification, just because of how much it settled forward. The original Samson did. This one barely has any settle at all. Like a millimeter and a half at most. But I've also increased the draw on this. It's about 40 millimeters. Which is funny how that works out, because XL is 40 in Roman numerals. So there's that. So that brings the volume from about 65 cc, about 65 cubic centimeters, for the original Samson to 91.52 cubic centimeters on this blaster. That is more than a Talon Claw. I believe that's more than a version 1 Lynx. That's double what a coat hanger is. And I want to say it's very similar to the Javelin, the base version, the least draw Javelin. Some other things you could compare it to is the Boom Dozer is about 64 cc, if I remember correctly, or 72, because it's about the same as a long shot. I remember now. So this is a huge plunger tube for this size of package, and all that volume and the size of this projectile, coupled with this small spring, the spring does not have very much potential energy in it, which does reduce potential. Obviously, it's in the obviously. So to get this power, it has to be extremely efficient. So the maximum efficiency I've been able to get out of these blasters, is for the single shot one, it's way higher than these, just because there's more darts. For the Mega XL, I've been able to get almost 60%. Now, you might not know what all that means. It means that of the potential energy that the spring can deliver at its load, or spring rate, and the points at which, so the maximum draw, or the maximum compression, and then the draw length, that's the potential. There's a calculation. If you're in the AT and Armory Discord, then that's where you'll see it. So it's getting 60% of that potential energy and converting it into kinetic. So some other blasters, that's about the second highest blaster that I've been able to measure, at about 60. Chris Cartea's X-Zeus 2, Big Blue, is 60.02%. So this is like between 55 and 60. And I don't like to get too much more exact than that, because my chronograph is not that exact. If it's 1 FPS off, 1 FPS, then that's going to be showing 58 instead of 56.5. So like because the darts are so big, they're so heavy, there's so much kinetic energy difference between, and it's such a high efficiency that I don't want to be like, oh yeah, this hits This is like 70%. Let's not do that. So yeah, that's the second highest. And some other blasters that have been recorded have been my hammer shot. I've done my Ranger. I've done a Javelin, a bunch of Caliburns, B variant. So it is extremely efficient. This blaster is, especially for a production. Hey, I'm giving you this basically. I'm selling you this blaster. Let's see what else we got. It is Hammer Prime. I felt like that was pretty obvious. It's a pretty good blaster. Pretty good seal. There's a double O-ring here for best seal. It is a speed seal. So I feel like I've rambled a little bit on this. I'm super excited about this. So I tend to ramble. I tend to go off on tangents about it just because I'm so excited about what this blaster can do, what it delivers, what it gives to you. It's extremely small and very high power. The MXL, so if you want to compare, hey, 75 FPS doesn't seem like it's that much. Well, that's the comparison between a MXL dart and a half dart. If this shot the MXL dart at the same kinetic energy as this half dart, it would be shooting 225 FPS. Yeah, that is the conversion. So it's an amazing blaster. It's an amazing blaster. So let's get into some other things. These variants, in their basic format, their basic configuration, this is $110. This one is $115. And this one is $120 because of the massive difference in print time between the different barrel types because of how much stuff is packed into those barrels. So, I feel like that is fair. There is one other person selling a basic Samson, and it comes out to about the same. So those, mine are not, it's not including shipping, but I've sent them across the country, and it was about $8. So there's that, and the other one I've seen was $30 shipping. So it comes out to about the same. The hardware is pretty expensive for such small time stuff. There's nothing to compare it to. This is the biggest, currently the biggest plunger tube on offer, or largest diameter plunger tube on offer for any production blaster. So, I mean, you'll see, when you buy it, you'll see that it is worth it. That is the quality that I offer to you, the blaster that I offer to you. So, there is the custom configuration, which adds $10 to each of these. So I'm not actually doing custom configuration for the 6x3. Okay, I'm not doing it. I can probably reduce the power, but because it's so many shots, it's 6 barrels, and as it is super consistent. If I add any more power, it might start shotgunning the second level of shots. If I reduce the power any, it might reduce the reliability. So I don't feel comfortable doing that. I have increased the power for Triple Mega. The same modification I did to this to reach 90 FPS, I did to this. And this hit about 75 FPS with 3 shots. So, there's that. You could probably reduce it to about 50 if you needed that extra prime, the ease of prime. I'm not quite sure what else to say. I do feel like I'm missing some things. All right, let's get into the warnings. Obviously, this is 3D printed, so don't leave it out in direct sunlight. Do not leave it in your hot car. The basic stuff. It's all made out of PLA. I do have a bunch of colors for you to pick out, to choose from. But I do require you to message me for those colors, because apparently Etsy can't do more than 2 variations for some reason. So I can't give you a whole bunch of color combinations. It's just the way it is. So you'll have to message me to get your colors. For this blaster, everything you see in orange will stay orange. It's non-negotiable. That's just the way it is. That might change in the future. But for launch spec, orange is going to stay orange. We have, this is MXL blue. This is Mega Red. I do have an Elite blue, which is a darker blue than this. Orange, black, light pink, white, neon green, yellow, seafoam green. I've got a gray. I have a bunch of different colors for you to pick out. So now let's get on to the royalties, agreements, whatever. I am paying a royalty for each blaster sold to Rupper Nutter. As they did design the base blaster, and this is just my variant of it. I didn't design the blaster from the ground up, even though every single, well, not every single, the grip has not been modified. Yep, the grip has not been modified at all. The trigger has not been modified. Trigger stays how it is. And I believe this has not been modified either. So 3 parts have not been modified. They've been kept the same. Excuse me. Because they didn't matter for performance. They felt good. They had positive lock in the case of the trigger. It's all good. So those 3 things have not been changed. And the base blaster was all put together, designed by Rupper. So I am giving him a royalty for each blaster sold. Brian, or Builder BB, I do have an agreement, license from him to put his parts on this blaster and modify his parts for this blaster. So there's that. And to cover my bases, I did get the blessing of Captain Slug, because even though the Radson XL is based off the Samson XL, which is based off the Samson is based off of the Yeehaw. So to cover my bases, I went ahead and got his permission. So I believe that's it. I guess I could fire him. So, unlike the standard Samson, you can put that in and then prime, and it'll be perfectly fine. That was loud. That is because of my own modifications to the plunger head. So, put these in here, all 3, and fire. Very, very nice. Now this one's going to be a pain to load. I am thinking about making a speed loader that's essentially push it in, pop all 18 darts in, and it is 18. It is loaded with 18 half darts, and it fires them perfectly. I was so excited to show this off that I actually went like a couple weeks ahead of time and just did a firing demonstration. So that was pretty fun. Was just so extremely excited. So this is how I do it. I prefer to press a bunch of them down with the dart itself. So here we go. I love it so much. And not a single dart remains. So, this has been the Radson XL. A little bit of an overview, introduction. So, this is what we've got. I hope y'all are as excited for this as I am. I do have one more thing to tell you, actually. I just remembered. I'm only going to have 5 of these, basically, commissions open at once. I'm one guy with 2 printers. So, I have the maximum amount of time that Etsy will allow me on these. I have 5 that are going to be open at any time. Shouldn't take me that long to do them, especially because I'm limiting myself to doing 5 at a time. As soon as one opens, I'll add it, or I'll update the listing. But there will only be 5 of these builds open at any given time. So, that said, this is Radioactive, and this is the Radson. Wave 1 of the Radson. There may be barrels coming in the future. But yeah, that's all I wanted to talk to you about today. The links and everything will be in the description, of course, obviously. And thank you for watching. Like, subscribe. And I hope you have a great day. Alright, and so here is a small firing demonstration. About 30 feet away, we have MXL. Pretty good. Then we've got 3 Mega Dart. And then we've got 6x3 Half Dart. Nice. Good little spread, good demonstration. Got it all at once. Yeah, so that's about what you can expect from the Radson XL.